Hey, everybody, this is Brent from The Second Look, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to Parker Stroop. Parker, good day to you.
Good day. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. Enjoying a lovely day. Over here
Perfect.
in LA, you are in Florida, is that right?
Yes, I'm currently in Sarasota, Florida.
Okay. Um, I always like to start kind of in the beginning.
hmm
Is there an event, a movie, an experience that got you into film in the first place? Like where it became like, oh, this is the thing for me.
Yeah, so my filmmaking journey is maybe similar to some others, but um, I always grew up loving cameras and making YouTube videos and, iPod Touch, iMovie stuff. I remember really vividly making a little short film that we never really actually put together, but shot it and with me and my buddies. And going into college, just like any other high schooler, I had no idea what I actually wanted to do. And my dad brought up, he's like, oh, well, why don't you check out filmmaking? And my dad is a role model for me. He's a mentor. He's been there through a majority, pretty much every hard decision I've made in my life so far,
Mm,
and has given me some really great wisdom. And he told me to look at filmmaking. And I thought, okay. So for like 3 months, I was like, okay, I'll be a filmmaker. I'll go to school for film. I'll go to UCF for film. And then 3 months go by and I was just like, I want to make money. I don't want to struggle. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be a computer science major. And I actually lived in a van for a little bit. I
mhm.
wasn't going to go to school and realized working in a kitchen and doing all that and living out of van wasn't necessarily the life to have.
Mhm.
And so decided to go back to school. I went in as a computer science major at Valencia College, the community college in Orlando. And I just easily a month into it, we were coding in C, the most basic language, and we were doing arrays and stuff. And I was just like, this isn't, this is not for me. I
Mm,
don't want to be doing this. So didn't want to be behind a computer for the rest of my life. So I decided to change my major to film. I probably a year short of graduating with a film degree from Valencia. And then I transferred to UCF after I got my second Spanish and went through UCF's majority of UCF's program. I'm 3 classes short of my BA in film, dropped out during COVID because I didn't want to live back at home. So I bought another van. Right before COVID, though, I started getting into the film industry specifically. And my first gig was the Great Christmas Light Fight with ABC. And so I worked that. And as soon as I got on set and all the lights and the gear and the walkie talkies and the surveillances, I was just like, this is for me. This
mhm.
is what I will die doing. Like, I love this. I want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And for 2.5 years after I moved to Denver in a van when COVID hit and dropped out of school because my brother and sister were there. I lived there for 2.5 years, and I just as soon as I could in COVID, when the production started picking back up, I was bouncing around from like Jimmy John's and normal jobs, and I was like, okay, once I get one gig, I'll say I'm sick, and then when the second gig comes along, I'll quit my job and go back full-time production. And
Yeah.
that's what happened. The first gig that came back for me during COVID was Amazon Heroes. I was a PA for that. And then I PA'd for probably about 3 or 4 months, did some big stuff with that. I did, I hate talking about it. Did like, oh my gosh, American Idol. I did Nat Geo, History Channel, all the
Uh-huh.
big networks. I probably PA'd for 3 to 4 months, maybe 6 months. And then I went on to ACing. I AC'd Nat Geo History Channel or Nat Geo thing, History Channel stuff, Forge and Fire. I've worked Lifetime Films, first AC.
Mhm.
I took a full time job with Felda Entertainment after that, like 2.5 years of PAing, ACing, kind of did a little bit of camera operating, but then I took a full time job as a director of photography for Feld. So I was the director of photography for all their entities, Monster Jam, Monster Energy Supercross. Then they have like the Jurassic Live, They've got a bunch, Disney on Ice, all that stuff that
Mhm.
Feld manages. And then just kind of started DPing smaller stuff, one crew, one man band stuff, some bigger stuff here and there, DP'd of some narrative stuff. Moved out to LA for 5 months, did some LA stuff, and now we're here. And I started three companies technically that kind of all feed into each other, build into each other, and yeah,
Wow. That's a I love that. I love the details, and, I wanna kinda talk about all of it, but I
yeah,
just appreciate giving us the play-by-play because
mhm,
as many people as there are different paths, to take,
yeah,
and everyone's is unique, and it's always encouraging to hear that, oh, like, yet another person who didn't just be like, "Oh, I went to film school right away, and then I got a job in
hmm,
Hollywood right away, and then I just," it's like this constant straight upward trajectory, like, that so rarely happens, and so
yeah,
helping to kind of, demystify the journey, as it were,
hmm,
for people is not really it's not really, meant to be a negative or discouraging thing. It's meant to be a kind of a reality check, like,
hmm,
we we from the outside looking in, thinking we have an idea of how it's gonna be, and when I think if we're better prepared for how it might actually go and probably how it
hmm,
probably will go, we might be better prepared to handle it because if you're just outside of LA anywhere else, and then you just like, okay, I'm moving to LA, and then you get here, and
hmm,
this and the whole city or the whole like metropolis out here, the work it can burn you out very quickly if you're not kind of like mentally prepared for it and be willing to take jobs like you were saying you're
hmm,
embarrassed at some of the jobs that you took, but honestly, like, that's it was necessity, right? Like, and it's
yeah,
a good thing, like, say yes to jobs. Do jobs.
yeah. And it's not that I'm embarrassed. I don't know. I feel like I don't like necessarily bragging, but in this industry, it's very, you have to talk about what you do and you have to kind of put it out there. But then, I've been on set with people that it's just comes off very showboaty and
Mm,
bragging. And I'm sure at some points I have been that person too. And it is very true. Like, going into the industry is not linear. There's a lot of paths to get to where you want to be. For me and my journey, I mean, God has been such a staple in it. And this industry, honestly, isn't very appeasing to and kind to Christians. And it's definitely been a very big test on my faith as well. And, I've had to grow as a human being, and I'm not necessarily where God wants me yet, but it's been a journey for
mm.
sure.
That's very interesting. I'd like to ask you more about that, like, how
Yeah.
how has the industry treated you as a Christian, and how has it challenged your faith a little bit more?
Yeah. So I can't really say that I was like a mainstay in way for being a Christian. Like, there's been very big tests and moments where, I used to like, smoke in the daily pot. So I lived the party life. And, I'm a fairly sociable person. And, when drinks would come up, I would always go drinking with the crew, even if we had a 14-hour day the next day. And for the most part, I mean, I was late to set due to it at times. And now looking back, I was like, that wasn't the way I should have operated. But the world definitely pulled me in with all that.
Mm,
And so, like, there's this one time when I was in Connecticut, I was DITing, and then I ended up being a cam op for the feature film, and then I ended up DPing it because the DP got COVID.
mm,
And we're sitting at the table. We just went. Like after we're playing cards, the gaffer, the current DP, the first AC, the second AC, and we just smoked a joint and then came back in and we're sitting around the table and it was a Christian film and it was a really poorly run Christian film. It was a Christian film run by human beings. Church hurt is caused by human beings, not by God. So it was a church hurt feeling that was kind of going on. It was ran by very greedy people, and the conversations that and the decision making was built off greed. And so, like, we're sitting there at this table, we just smoked this joint, and everyone's talking, kind of ragging on Christians, and because all the leadership is technically Christians, and just ragging on them. And um, I am a pretty vocal human being. So if there's an injustice going on, I will speak out about it. And it just got to the point where it's like, he said something about Christians, the first, whoever, whoever it was said it. And I just looked at him and I was like, well, I'm a Christian. I'm sitting here at the table with you and we just smoked a joint together. Like, what do you have to say about me? And it was just like this moment of like, everyone was silent because I'm also fairly big guy. Like I can be intimidating. I can be a little, especially when I get serious, but it was just like, well, what about me? And there was a couple moments in my career where it was realization that I'm getting grouped in with the world because I'm doing things of the world. And it was more of a reflection on me than it was of anyone else. Right. And so I also remember this one other time, and that whole situation was fine. He apologized, smoked another joint. It was all good. It
Yeah.
was no worries. But there was another time where I was working a Nat Geo Shark Week show, and we were driving from wherever we were. I was with one of the producers, and we talked about faith. And it turned out she was a Catholic, and it was like this moment, like, oh my goodness, like another Christian, like this is crazy, and talked about it. And then when we get to set, it's like, oh, hush, hush, like don't bring it up. Let's just keep it between us. And it's this sense of don't bring it up, don't talk about it so you get work. Because as soon as you bring it up, people will hate you for it and not give you work because of it. And that
Mm,
was always the stigmatism around it. And I personally now, man, I don't accept that mentality. I don't care what you are, who you are, as long as you treat people well and if you're in it with me, then I'll be in it with you.
right.
I'm a very loyal person, and um, a lot of times the conversation would dictate that they weren't for you if you were a Christian type conversation. And
Mm,
I'm sure I've missed out on work because of it. And after Charlie Kirk died, honestly, I started that was my point. Like I would not share on social media and stuff. And that was the point where it was just like, now's the time. Like it can't be lukewarm. Like I was on my journey and God had me on a journey up to that point, and I was just like, this can't operate the same way and I'm not going to operate the same way. And, you know, it really made me look, am I willing to die for this? Is this a belief and is God something I'm willing to die for? And now it's like my head will fall from my shoulders before I denounce
mhm,
God and Jesus as king. And I will profess that
mm.
all day.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting.
A
Thank you for
lot.
sharing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I am not a person of faith myself, so I have not encountered that exactly how you have, but I can see yeah, I can see where politics and or
Hmm.
religion, becoming a detriment to who you might work with on either
Yeah,
side, and that it can be a struggle to keep yourself kind of
for
contained
sure.
in a way for the sake of work.
Yeah.
But I so I know I do know a little bit about we talked the other day and you
Sure.
mentioned your production company, which is a faith-based production company. So I'm
Yeah.
making the leap here. I'm connecting the dots. Based on your
Yeah.
experiences is why you went in that direction to create that company. So tell us about that company.
Yeah. So originally, I mean, I tried to start a company multiple times, probably since I was 22. I'm
Mhm,
28 now. When I was in Denver, I tried to start a company multiple times. And originally, I was calling it Ikigai. Might pronounce it wrong, but the Japanese word for pretty much the thing that you live for,
mm,
the thing that gets you out of the bed in the morning. And I changed it to Pillar Productions because that is a name. It's Christian related and it's goes off like the pillars of faith.
mhm.
Um, Honestly, I should probably be a little bit more well versed in what exactly that means. But yeah, so honestly, the production company, I'm a person that really strives after purpose, and purpose drives me to nowhere. Like,
Mhm.
you give me a purpose, you give me a reason, and
That's all you
I'll
need.
go to the end of the earth for it. So the pillar production isn't necessarily to get client facing gigs by any means. It's simply just an entity to feed my other company, which is the main focus, which is Second Watch Network. And then I have a third company called the Born to Create Project. And the Born to Create Project is a discipleship program that does retreats for filmmaking. So it's a focus on filmmaking. The goal, honestly, would be to expand it to more than just that, to art, to painting. I'm not a good painter, but I like painting. But just like being born to create, what it means. Like,
Yeah.
you are born to do this thing, whether you believe in God or not. There's this universal believing that you are born to do what you love.
Mhm, mhm,
And so that company is to do a retreat. I want to do a retreat in Texas at this ranch in Austin, Texas, near Austin, Texas, and do like a leaders retreat and get a bunch of like production directors from churches to come together, have 4 days to decompress, to not really focus on work, even though you're filmmaking while it's still work, but it's not really work, you know? And so to also prepare and disciple those men as leaders and women, men and women as leaders within the church, as media leaders. And then so Second Watch Network is kind of the parent. Well, I guess Pillar Productions would be the parent company because Second Watch Network's DBA, but ultimately Second Watch Network is an indie film platform. So pre-production to distribution. So our main big deal right now is the production management software. I've been personally developing it, and I've worked pretty much from everything. I've run production departments, I've PA'd, I have sat and worked with post teams. I've seen pretty much all of it, everything from live production, feature films, TV, everything, commercial work. So the production management software all feeds into each other. So just like Studio Binder, Yam do, those communicate within the tools as well. But mine takes it a little bit further. So like really when you're in the production software, because I'm also building this full indie platform for the community with community focus on it. So job boards, statuses, connections, really focused around the community of filmmakers and discussion boards. And so when you're in the back lot, I'm working on really the cast and crew side of it right now. You can go in, you can post to your job board straight from the cast and crew. And then as that application is within, uh, goes through the pipeline of hiring someone, you fully develop, okay, this person is doing this. They are getting paid 600 a day. And then it assigns all of that, puts it into a contact list, a team list.
mhm,
And then from there, from that team list, you're able to feed it into, uh, everyone's invoices. So invoices with this software essentially become automatic. So
Mm,
you create an invoice. I'm thinking about it now, building an invoice, kind of automatically generating it. But as
mhm,
you like go through your expenses, you take receipt photos, you put your receipts in, you do your mileage, your kit rentals, all of that, it automatically feeds your invoice. And you're
mm,
able to go in your invoice and see all the linked stuff. And you're able to generate a PDF and send it out, or you're able to send it directly to the showrunner or whoever is assigned for
mhm,
invoices that gets approved. That all of that, once it gets approved, automatically goes into the actual budget. So you have estimated budgets and then you have actual budgets as well.
mm,
So you're able to feed all of it. It all communicates so you don't miss out on anything. Things don't just disappear just because you're working somewhere else or, you put it in a different program or something like that. And then the kind of the next large, it's all going to be released in kind of stages. The community and the production management software is all together. We're going to release that at the same time. And then the VOD system, so like Netflix and fast channels and live streaming. So that's going to be, your stereotypical Netflix and stuff. But the big focus here is indie creatives that are building something, that have the skills to build it for low budget, but really want to get it out there, and focusing on those creators.
mhm,
So the pay cuts and the percentages and all that favor the creator every single day. And I also kind of want to bring back DVD sales as well as like DVD extras. So focusing on like DVD sales used to really fund the productions and be able to make your money back. Now we don't have that income anymore. And
mhm,
indie is pretty much gone. So what I want to do is where you can pay 20 bucks, 30 bucks, get a downloadable file. So depending on what is spec'd out, whether it's offering a 4K H2 or even like 4K ProRes or something like that, or 1080 for certain prices, and then be able to bundle extra features. And another aspect of it is like worlds. We don't really have to get into all that, but it's worlds are, I guess maybe you should, but
mhm,
worlds is like, so if you had a series, you wanted it on Second Watch Network, you would submit it through the form. It would get reviewed, it would get approved. When that series gets approved, I'm calling it worlds right now. So it builds a world for that. I like to say I'm a world builder. I'm not a story builder or a
mhm,
storyteller. Like I like building worlds.
mm,
And so within that world, now you're able to upload kind of freely behind the scenes, YouTube style content, shorts, all that, and it builds it into this world. So
mm,
now you have a 8 episode season with all this BTS and stories, and then you link whatever, Instagrams, whatever. So it makes it more interactive. It makes it fun. It gives the client, like the consumer, a lot more to do. It
right,
gives the filmmaker a lot more opportunities to actually make money,
mm,
which I think is huge.
right. That's the one thing that fans of something want, is that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, and you don't get any of that on a Netflix, maybe
Uh-huh.
other than, like, a trailer or something, but yeah, kind of like, your own if I correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, the filmmaker would have kind of their world, right? And
Yeah.
and then would the user kinda pay, like, a membership to that particular creator, like, for for access to all that content? How does that work?
Yeah, I've been playing with that. I almost don't want to just tag prices onto things just to tag prices on things,
Mhm,
because I want it to be a consumer friendly
mhm,
experience as well. I don't want everything to just be paywalls and you're not really able to get what I almost want it to be expected, because I mean it really is in this world to make this YouTube content, really market it in a certain way that, like, if you don't have it, you're doing a disservice to the consumer.
mhm.
again, it's where's that middle point of this here benefits the filmmaker and the creative and gives money back to the creative, but
Mhm,
then what is too much for the consumer to not want to be there? Because just like mobile games, right? You get
mhm,
on a mobile game, it's a good game, but you're not necessarily wanting to pay $2 for it. So you put up with the ads, but then it's
mhm.
every time you finish something and then you don't want to be there anymore and you delete it, you know?
Uh-huh. Right.
So it's really finding that balance point, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart. Giving them, I guess, options, right? Like,
Mhm.
you can pay, I guess, to pay the one membership fee, and then you get everybody's stuff, right? Like, kinda like Netflix.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, a lot easier for the consumer because, yeah, the having to pay for every little thing, even if it seems like a dollar here, a dollar there, it adds up, and that's really annoying having to get through all that.
Mhm.
Okay, do you have, when's this launching? What's the plan there? Do you have, a site, somewhere where we can send people to get signed up?
Yeah, so you can view it on secondwatchnetwork.com. I'm kind of right now as I'm building it out, I will say I'm fairly close to finishing the production management. I say that and then I add four more things and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to debug it and figure all of that out. But it, so I think within this week, I can have this next week have a usable product. I was hoping last week, but then I had to kind of add and change a bunch of stuff to kind of compete with a certain market, be
Mhm,
appealing. So I'm hoping next week for the production management software as well as the community. The other features, so the next feature will be the VOD system with the live streaming and all that is for the most part built out. But realistically, I'm probably focusing on that in 3 to 4 months. A big thing for that for me is I want to do a 24-hour live stream to put onto YouTube. And then
mhm,
that kind of builds into the whole fast channel thing. But
mhm,
once I get that 24-hour live stream on with curated content, I personally have one series that I'm already putting out there called Serving for Greece. That will be on there. I'm working on trying to get a budget for another series based off the Sarasota Paradise team. They're a soccer team. They just became USL1. So I want to do like a reality docu follow series around them. So trying to get the access to that.
mm,
I have a phone call after this to see if that is a thing.
mm,
But I'm hoping within 6 months I can have enough and curated from other creators as well as my own stuff to kind of launch that. And then there's some other features that you can check out on the website. One's called The Order. It kind of tackles the treating people well mentality in the film industry. So not a labor union, but a not really a social club, but kind of a social club
yeah,
um, that I'm actually really excited about. But that's being built out. That will probably be in a year, I
okay.
would say. Yeah,
So you're looking for content, right?
I am big time.
Yeah, so what can we do? We'll put an email address maybe in the
Mhm.
description, but, otherwise gonna can connect to you through the website.
Yeah, through the website, there's a full submit form that
Okay.
you can go through. I'll probably modify it after this to kind of fit the whole current state of things,
Mhm,
but essentially just a small approval process right now because we want it to be in between. Right now there's again that indie space. Really every filmmaker is talking about how there's no more indie space, there's no real market to make money as a indie filmmaker.
mhm,
So I there's a couple people that I've seen like the campus, I think they're out
mm,
of Austin. They're doing some really cool stuff. They're a YouTube founder and they did a feature film with a bunch of YouTubers and their mentality. The next person to win an Oscar is making films in the room, which I love that mentality. And there's a
yeah,
couple people kind of trying to fill that space. So I'm trying to also kind of inhabit that space where
mhm,
it's not the YouTube, it's not the studios, because that's who's controlling a lot of the production and a lot of the money right now. And so, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, just to fill that space. Yeah, with submitting. So you can submit through there, and then I probably have 15 pieces right now that I have approved just from posting to Facebook and everything. So I need about 150 pieces around there to
Yeah.
really fill that space.
Okay. Yeah. Um, and I guess I wanna go back to the workshop, like the retreat. When
Mhm.
is that scheduled? Is that happening? Where how can people get into that?
Yeah, so that's called the Born to Create project. The website's thebtcp.com, and that is also linked through my production company website, pillarproductionsusa.com. And so that's I have a pastor attached to it. Uh, Eventually I think I could step into kind of a pastor type role for it, but right now I would consider myself a bar preacher.
Mhm,
And so, like, I go really well in the marketplace, preaching in the marketplace and really preaching to the broken and all that. And like filmmaking, I can talk your ears off about
mhm,
settings, about specs, about codecs, all of that.
mhm,
But so I have a pastor that I think is really going to fit well with my style and everything. And so originally I was trying to book out a set of dates for February,
mhm,
which we're coming up on. Nothing's happened with it yet. I haven't really had the money to put marketing because I've been focused on the Second Watch Network.
mhm,
But I'm also trying to do a set of dates. I think it's March, April, May. In May, I think, because I'm trying to hit. So there's kind of seasons for churches, especially for the video and production directors.
mm,
So I'm trying to fill the space either after Christmas or after Easter, because those are
right,
like the big days that really
right,
get bogged down.
right, right.
But yeah, that I'm really excited. I've already done the whole filmmaking plan for it, all the technicality stuff, the
Mm,
budget cameras you can use and multicam setups, routings, focusing on interview setups as well and really diving into how can you do a lot with a little,
mm,
because especially churches, they either have a lot of money and really put into the production quality, which isn't really what my market is. Mega churches for me, I mean, we just saw the Drew Ski skit and
yeah,
all that, isn't really my focus. My focus is more the middle ground or the lower end church that doesn't
mhm,
have all the resources that you can build with a lot.
right. That's great. That's great. Um, well, that's fantastic, Parker. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I love talking to you. You're a very interesting person. You got a lot going on,
Appreciate it. I do.
and I wish you all the best. So we'll have all those
Thank you,
links.
Brent.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll have the links, I guess, in the description. We'll maybe put
Mhm.
some text on screen when we've talked about it. So if anyone's interested, they can get in touch with you. But wish you all the best, Parker.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brent.
All right, take care.
You too.